How's it going, everybody? Destello is back, and I have a new video, and this is going to be showcasing all the special box locations on every track. Now, some of these tracks actually will not have any special box locations at all. Some of these might have 2, and there's even a couple that have 3. Now, why am I going over all these? Well, in patch 1.3.1, we actually got a major buff to the special item boxes, which I talked about in a previous video not too long ago. And I want to go over where all these special boxes are actually located, and how viable they are to be picked up, things of that nature. Now, I'm not going to say this is foolproof, obviously. I went through in supersonic speed, tried to go as fast as possible to get all the footage, to locate all the special item boxes, and there is a very high chance that I could have missed 1 or 2, or even a good couple of them. So, take my information with a grain of salt. Some of these boxes could be RNG, and they could spawn in one race, but maybe not spawn in another, or I maybe got unlucky, and an item box that was going to spawn in some spot might not have for me, but it could for you. Things of that nature. So, keep in mind, there could be some human error with this, and that's what I'm really trying to get at the end of the day. And one of the biggest things I want to go over real fast is I'm going to be ranking each special box that you can pick up in order of how viable they are out of 10. So what do I mean by this? Let's say East Stadium, for example. East Stadium's special item box, if it's in a good location or a bad location, I'll rank how viable it is to actually go for that pickup, especially in consideration to what shortcuts the track has, what features the track has, how you want to play the track, and other things of that nature. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to fully listen to me. If you have like a 10-second front run, maybe you can waste a little bit of time to go get any special item box in the game, but ideally some of these item boxes you can afford to go for. Some of these are risky to go for, but you can still maintain a lead if you play really well. Some of these you really don't want to go for unless you really 100% need to, and then some of these are just so bad to go for that you will lose tons of time, and if not, you will risk your whole race, losing first place easily, or just losing other placements in general. Now, this doesn't have to just constitute to front running either. I'm not saying this is only for front runners. This goes for every player, every position, and every play style. Without further ado, guys, let's get into the first track, which is actually East Stadium, as I said, and then we'll move on to the last track and go from there. Starting with East Stadium, this track is a 0 out of 10. There's literally zero reason to go for this item box. This special box is actually right after a major off-road cut on lap 3 that you can take with the level 3 dash panel. There's literally zero reason to go for this. I feel like even if you have a 10-second lead, it is always better, and in general, it's always better to take the dash panel and cut the off-road, so that way you don't have to worry about this at all. 0 out of 10, never get this one. Next, going into Rainbow Garden. Rainbow Garden actually has no special item boxes on it, so again, 0 out of 10, unfortunately, because there's none. I've checked the King Wisp time trial spawn location, and there was none there, unfortunately, which is very crazy to me. Going into Water Palace, there's actually 2 Water Palace special item boxes. The first one's actually at the very beginning of the track on lap 3, which this one actually has a weird line, but it could be worth going for it if you have, say, like a 3-second front run. And then when it comes to the second special item box, this one actually is like an 8 or 9 out of 10. If you have like a good second and a half lead, you can absolutely go for it. Definitely worth it. Going into Metal Harbor, I checked where the King Wisp usually spawns. That was my first guess, and I checked everywhere else on the track. No special item boxes, 0 out of 10. Sand Road, do not go for this one. On lap 3, instead of going for the water path, which is a much more direct, straight, easier path in general, and has a tighter line, you have to go very out to the left path. 0 out of 10. Never go for it. Colorful Mall. This one is also a 0 out of 10 in my opinion. You literally have to waste 2 to 3 seconds to go for the special item box. I know I took this route terribly, but it's still terrible nonetheless. Mystic Jungle actually does not have a special item box at all, to my knowledge, and I could not find one, so if there is one based on like RNG factors or something like that, that's my bad, but there is none here, so 0 out of 10 as well. Next, going into Apatos. Apatos actually has a very good special item box spawn. It's on the far left of the first flight section. You can actually go for this if you have about a 2-second front run. I would say a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10. Kind of worth, kind of not. Going to Wonder Museum, this is one of the few tracks that actually has 3 special item box locations. The first one, never go for this one. This one takes you on a much wider, longer path. This is never worth going for it unless you have like a 5-second front run. The second one is on the Tornado 1 section. This one actually is pretty okay to go for. I would say that's a 9 out of 10. It's literally directly in your path and not a 10 out of 10. Finally, the last special item box is right after the off-road at the very end of the race. This is on the very far right side of the item boxes. Unfortunately, it really doesn't take into effect at all. You get this item so late that I would argue it's maybe an 8 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10. Going in Crystal Mine. Crystal Mines is based on the cycle of the crane. So if the crane's on a good cycle, it's a 10 out of 10 to go for, or a 9 out of 10, I would argue. Otherwise, I would say it's not even worth it. It's too risky. Going to Ocean View. Ocean View, another track that is just a super high risk special item box. I would never go for this. This cut on lap 3 is horrible. Very hard to consistently do. Don't go for it. Pumpkin Mansion's special item box location. You actually don't take the top path on lap 3. You can actually fall off, and it's following the little ghost. This is actually very worth going for if you have a good lead or if you fall off the track, things of that nature. And it's not terrible. It's in a good path, honestly. It's just based on the cycle. Urban Canyon, 10 out of 10. Literally right in front of you. This is probably one one of the best special item boxes in the game to go for, always. Literally, there's no reason to go for it, and there's enough time to roll the item and actually utilize it. Market Street Special Box spawn could actually be an 8 out of 10 if it wasn't for the fact by the time you get it, the race is over and it won't come into play. So in actuality, I would rate this box as a 4 out of 10. This is like a super high desperation box. It's better to just use your items to defend yourself on the final stretch. Coral Town has multiple special item boxes here. In the first one on the flight path, this one's terrible. I wouldn't go for it. It's pretty bad, and the flight path is terrible itself. Never go for this. The next one is actually right at the very start when you're going on the right path. You can actually see it sometimes RNG pops up in the bubbles. So if you get on a good cycle and you see it in the bubbles, go for it if you can. It's actually not terrible to go for this, honestly. It may take a while to see it though. The next one's actually on the left path, and then you take the right path right after. This one's on the direct path. You take an inside line. It is kind of risky, but definitely you can go for it. It's overall not too bad, but not too good either. Then going into the final one on these mushroom tops, and I would just say avoid at all costs. It takes way too much time. There's too much airtime. Blizzard Valley has multiple special item box locations. The first one, obviously, right as you're about to get to the flight section, you can pick up 2 here, usually on average, which is super insane. And then the next one's on the top path on the right, also pretty solid to go for. Not too bad, genuinely. Going into Radical Highway is actually on the cable cut section of the bridge. This is actually very easy to go for if you know what you're doing, you set it up properly. Obviously, you see from the footage, I failed, but this one's pretty worth going for. I think it's alright if you're confident in your ability, so pretty okay. Going into Chow Parks, I would never go for this. Genuinely, you have to basically take all the guys and use them to bounce up to the next layer of each of them, and it's too risky, it takes too long, and I just don't find it worth it. Going into Donpa's is, instead of taking the super good inside line, you have to actually take an outside line and risk getting hit by the cars to actually get it. Never go for this, in my opinion. I don't think it's worth it. Going into Aqua Forest is in a horrible spot. Either literally hard break or snap drift in here. It's just super high risk with very minimal reward. I don't see why you would ever go for it. North Star is not in a terrible spot. North Star, you can get it from the main path or taking the shortcut. It's on the very far left side before you get to the hydraulic press. I'd say if you have like a 2 or 3 second front run, you can definitely go for it. It's still risky, but I think it's alright at the end of the day. Definitely better than some of these other cases. White Space's special item box location is actually on the far left side when you're going onto the end section. Usually people cut the muck going through that little off-road spot and take a straighter line, but if you have a good front run, you can definitely go for it. Minecraft actually has 2 special item box locations. The first one's at the very start of lap 3 nearly, where you just cut through the web with a speed item or an attack item, and you can grab that special item box. Next, when you're in the end, you can actually see this one right next to the Ender Dragon itself. This one's actually pretty okay to go for. It definitely is a little risky based on when the dragon's breath goes out, so I would just be careful of that. Bikini Bottom's a special item box. I would just never go for this. This is terrible. You basically have to take a super horrible line, super wide line to go for this box, and even if you get this cleanly, you still don't have to risk being put off in a terrible line. Pack Village and Maze have really good item box locations for the special boxes. First one is actually at the very start of the track. You can actually go for this consistently. Don't mind the fact that I'm making out with the wall here. Next, in the maze portion, you can actually get the special item box right here, and it's actually in a pretty solid spot overall. It's not too bad. You can definitely swing out for it and then put yourself on a better line right afterwards. It's still kind of risky, but I think it's actually pretty solid to go for. So I know I shot through these pretty quickly, so let's talk about each of these in terms of a tier list. So this tier list is actually ordered from the most viable special boxes that you can actually pick up in each track to the least viable in each track, in my opinion. Now, Blizzard Valleys is so free because item boxes are literally on the direct path when you're going straight to the flight section, and if you take the top path, they're literally right in your way and they come towards you. Like, it is very easy to get these. It's very worth getting them. Literally, there should be zero reason to avoid these unless you're about to get hit by an item or something like that. Urban Canyons is literally in the flight section where it's literally in front of you. All you have to do is be semi-precise. You gotta go through a little spot in the flight section. It's not that bad, genuinely. It's really solid. Winter Museum's literally got one that's really bad, which I'm not counting that in this tier list, but in terms of the other two, where the Tornado 1 is spinning, that one's actually an 8 out of 10. You can go for this pretty reliably as long as you understand how fast the Tornado 1 spins and how fast you're going to get towards it, things of that nature. And then the second one on the far right, where the last item set is, this one is a 8 out of 10 in my opinion as well. It's not because it's good in the sense of like it's a good item box in general. It's at the very end of the track where you're going to be halfway through literally the final stretch, and then the item will finally be set in your inventory. It's pretty bad for that reason, but other than that, it's literally right in your path. There's no reason to avoid it, genuinely. It's pretty solid overall. Pack Village and Maze has two really easy boxes that you can get, especially if you understand the lines for how to get them. I really think these two should never be avoided if you can help it. Now, granted, some people might argue that between 5 and 7 out of 10 in the tier list, because you do have to take a weird line and it can actually mess you up, which I can understand understand that argument, but I do think these boxes on Pack Village and Maze are very, very free, honest to God. You should be going for these if possible. Water Palace, even the first item box is like a 7 out of 10, but the second one's a 9 out of 10. Like, there's zero reason not to go for it, genuinely, in my opinion. I really do think that Water Palace has some of the easiest special item boxes to go for. You're at no risk of like falling into off-road or falling off the track, things of that nature, but you do have to sacrifice some time for both of these, and it's a decent bit for the first box, so still worth going for these if you can. I don't see any issue with these. Minecraft Worlds is actually pretty alright for the first one and the second one. You do have some risk involved on both of them. First one is that if you take the line wrong, you can actually run into TNT or run into fire because someone else exploded the TNT, things of that nature. And then second is by the Ender Dragon, the Dragon's Breath can actually hit you and lose you a lot of time. So there is risk involved with Minecraft World, but I think both of these are pretty solid. They're good, nearly at 8 out of 10 level, but I would say they're 7 out of 10 because you do have to waste an item for the first one, and the second one you get hit quite easily. Radical Highway, I would say, is actually a 7 out of 10 as well. It barely doesn't hit the cusp of 8 out of 10 because it's on this Golden Gate Bridge like rail section where you can fall off very easily due to like desync shoving or a bug because your board clipped into the ground, whatever. It's a lot of issues. It's definitely worth to go for, but it's definitely risky to go for simultaneously, in my opinion. Pumpkin Mansion is genuinely in a pretty solid spot. It is on a cycle, so you can miss it, but if you get kicked off or someone's got a monster truck on the top path and you fall to the bottom, there's actually a really solid chance you're going to get at least one special box here. There's even a good chance you get two. I don't think it's that bad. Genuinely, it's pretty safe overall. Crystal Mine, I really think this one's high risk, high reward in some ways, depending on where the crane is and how high it's swung up already, things of that nature, how fast you get there. It really depends on the speed at which you get there and what's all going on in the situation. I think it can definitely be a 6 out of 10 level. It's definitely kind of worth it, kind of not. Just really depends. And you can lose some time. And if you get hit, your front run's cooked. White Space, I think White Space, if the whole right side is getting cluttered up by like items, monster trucks, things of that nature, just go for the left path and go grab the safer special box. That special box might give you a shield, might get you wisps, things of that nature. It's definitely not the best item box to go for, but it's definitely one of the more viable ones compared to the other tracks. Apatos, same reason. You have to go very wide to get this box, so you sacrifice a lot of time. Even with that, you can still get a shield and get some items that are actually pretty solid overall. I do think that Apatos, the fact that you have to go wide is kind of unfortunate, and this same issue holds true for North Star. Now, North Stars is in a better location in terms of how wide you have to go, kinda. I would say it's still in a pretty bad location overall. It's definitely the worst of the 5 out of 7 pool, but you can definitely reasonably go for this genuinely, and I think it actually is not too bad. Definitely a little more risky because you gotta go so wide, so there's more time people can throw items, and there are situations where an item's coming at you. If you get onto the hydraulic press section on lap 3, because of the hydraulic press shooting everyone up, it actually breaks items during that whole period of time. There's sometimes it's actually worth just skipping that special box entirely, and in general, you should be skipping it to take the faster line in general. Market Street's item box, it's in a decent spot. It's kind of like Minecraft World's first special box where you have to break stuff to get to this. Now, granted, this box is at the very end of the track, and just like Wonder Museum's last item box, you literally get this at the very last stretch, and you can be like 75% of the way to the final stretch, or like halfway through the final stretch, whatever it is, and then you finally get the item. So genuinely, I don't think it's worth it at all. It's high desperation play. Donpo, same thing. I think Donpo's got the same issue with like North Star, White Space, Apatos. You have to sacrifice like a cut or sacrifice some major time in order to actually get this special item box. I don't think it's worth going for this unless you're really desperate and you really need something to give you some better positions. Chow Park, never go for this unless you're highly desperate and you really need a shield or you really need something. You have to spend so much time in the air, and air time, especially in a water section, is horrendously slow. Do not go for it unless you absolutely think you need it. Coral Town, there's just no good special item box. Like, if you get lucky and the first item box on the right path and then you take the far left path, then yeah, it's nice. But for the other 3 spots, like, you have to take much slower paths in general, spend more time in the air, spend time in the flight section, and it's all just a lot slower than just taking either the full right path or taking the Coral Cut itself. Colorful Mall, Ocean View, Bikini Bottom, East Stadium, Aquaforce, and Sand Road all have similar issues. So Colorful Mall and Ocean View, you have to take shortcuts that are terrible, and there's no reason to go for these. Bikini Bottom and East Stadium, you have to sacrifice significantly better lines, and even significantly better lines that go through off-road in order to actually get these special boxes, which is not worth it. Aquaforest and Sand Road literally take you on paths that are so bad to the point that you literally sacrifice your whole front run and just lose so much time, and there's so much more risk to these than there should be. There's just too much time lost. It is never worth going for these, genuinely. And then finally, for the tracks that have no special item box spawns, to my knowledge, you have Wily's Castle, Kronos Island, Eggman Expo, Rainbow Garden, Metal Harbor, and Mystic Jungle. I could not find a special item box on these locations. If you find any special item boxes I did not talk about in this video, or you find any on the tracks that I said that there isn't, please let me know in the comment section down below. I know there's some human error in this. I definitely could have missed one of these special item boxes, or I could have missed a couple on some of these other tracks, things of that nature. So I would like to know if I did, and if I did, please call me out on that, because I do like learning about the game and I do like improving at the game. It will heavily translate further to make me an even better player going forward. I got one question when it comes to the special item box locations. What track shocked you the most? Like, which special item boxes on these tracks shocked you the most when it comes to their spawn location, how many spawn on the track, things of that nature? Were you shocked that Coral Town has the most special item box spawns, which is 4? Or were you shocked that Pac-Man Village and Maze actually have 2, and one of them's in a very weird spot just off in the corner somewhere? What are your thoughts on these special item boxes? Hopefully you learned something new about the viability of each special item box, and hopefully you put this information into practice to where you can actually start winning more of your races and having more consistent high placements. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have yourselves a great one. And the next video I think is going to be about Screamer. I won't say for certain. I'm still thinking about what I want to do for Crossworlds. We'll see what happens when we get there. Have yourselves a great one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.